What's up, everybody? Bull Rider Stocks. I'm Alex. This is my new mustache. I hope you like it. Hope you like this video. Hope you've been liking all these videos. There is a thumbs up button if you do like them. There's a subscribe button if you do want to subscribe to the channel. Because I hope you get some value out of these videos. So let's jump right in. We've talked a little bit about ATOS before. We finally sold that. So this video, we're just going to recap the week. I want to talk about a big loss that I took because losses happen, and I definitely am not going to hide losses from these videos. Because we got to talk about them. So the big loss here is this CHCI one for $1,700. That one kind of stung a bit, but before that though, we sold our ATOS. We made grand total of $3,600 on it. So happy with that one. Let's go to ATOS and just sort of show where we sold ATOS right here. So I really wanted this thing to kind of get above and beyond the $4 range. Wasn't happening. So I'm like, all right, I'm selling pre-market. And thankfully, for whatever reason, that was a good call because on the open, it went way down, hit like some 350 levels, and then it's kind of been for a while. So, which is decent levels to buy in, but not if you were holding, waiting for more profit. So, a little disappointed in that, but obviously I got in, I got out at a good time. All right, so ATOS makes us some profit right on that one. So we jump into CHCI on that same day. Like, okay, let's see how a day trade kind of works. We had luck on that other day trade stock video where we made $200 easy. So let's see how this one went, right? So this is the danger of it. So CHCI, let's open up that chart real quick for you. So CHCI is here. In the pre-market, it's up, it's up a bunch. So it's one of the pre-market runners. And usually if you pick of the top 3 pre-market runners at the open, they tend to run up a little bit. That's just kind of how I've noticed the market been. So right at the open, we jump in at $15. We picked up, let's open up that cost basis here. We picked up 341 shares at $15. So $5,000 we throw it at, see what it does, right? Now I was looking at this level, and so pre-market it hit this high and then went down. And so I was hoping on the open it hit that high and ripped through. That was the hope, right? No, instead, it goes up to 1572, so we're up a little bit, and then it hits a halt. And then when stocks get these halts, obviously stocks can go one or two ways, but when it's ripping up that aggressively, everyone's wanting to take profit, especially if you were these people buying down here, and all of a sudden, it's way up here, it's halted. All right, you're gonna put your sell order in. What I should have done is had like a limit order down here just in case. It did go down, then I would have been protected. I would have only lost like a couple $100. Instead, I held on through that. It came down here. I was sweating this one out a little bit. It came back up right in this like $14 range. That's $14 range. And I could have gotten out with being down a couple hundred and totally would have been fine. But instead, I was like, okay, it'll rip back through. Yeah, maybe. Instead, it was again rejected and then trickled down a little bit. We got out around $9 range, maybe $9.50, something like that. So that is the loss you see of this 1700. So that one stung, and I was a little hurt on that one because it's not fun to have a big red day like that. That's sort of the danger with a day trade like that. Normally you got to put in a stop loss. You got to have something to protect you in that way, so that way when it comes back down, you got to say, hey, down $200, down whatever, down $300, that's my cutoff. I didn't have that, partly because of the halt, partly because it came back up, and so I thought all right, it'll come back up in that range, but didn't. So had to bite the bullet on that one. The good news is then we bought into SNDL, and so for those following kind of the marijuana sector stocks, SNDL had a great day the next day. So 2.9 we bought into SNDL, and let's find that chart. Okay, right here, and we bought in a few. So right, if we're looking at the time chart, right, we sold out of that other loss that was hurtful, right? And SNDL and all those were kind of making, there's been a lot of hype in them, so we bought in. What was our cost basis on that one? That was at $1.63, $1.64, right? So we threw what we were remaining from that previous trade, right, our 3,500. So we kind of erased some of our ATOS gains. We're sitting at 3,500. All right, we go into SNDL. And then we ride that. It kind of gets some new highs here. And then in that morning, I was watching it. It's hitting 250 and all that. It couldn't break 250. Hit 250, came back down. Came up 250, hit back down. I was like, all right. So as soon as it kind of comes to a decent range, I'm going to get out. I think it was like 233, 234, and I'm like, all right, I'm good. And then of course it came back down from there. So I was like, all right, perfect, good. I'm gonna take that win, and that win was good. Like I'm gonna take this $1,500, $1,500. Almost erased most of my losses from the day before, so I was happy. What I wasn't happy about is SNDL continued then to rally, so it had this dip, and then what I could have done is bought back in. Nothing wrong with that. And then rode this back up. And man, when it hit like 450 and all that in the pre-market of the next day, I was like, man, just holding would have been great. But didn't happen. So what are you going to do? Profit is profit. So the next thing we're going to talk about is then I went into GM. Now the GM play is actually something pretty unique. So I don't have the GM chart right off the bat, but so one of the stock things I was listening to, I think it was the Trader TV or Live Trader TV on YouTube. Google YouTube that and you'll find them. They announced something like GM had like a big drop for some reason. I forget the reason, so I looked into it and I was like, oh, that's a huge drop that it had. And this leads us to talk a little bit about what Webull lets you do, and this is one of my reasons I do actually like Webull more than Robinhood, of course. So Webull gives you 4 times leverage. So 4 times leverage for a day trade, and then 2 times for overnight. Depends on the company. It needs to be like a very solid, stable company. You can't just get like SNDL with 4 times money, because then that'll be crazy because it's too volatile, right? So the example of that 4 times means if you have $5,000 of cash in the account, you get to trade that day with $20,000, right? So the pros of doing something like that is all the gains are yours and they're multiplied, right? So if a stock moves 1%, if you just had your $5,000 in the account, 1% is only $50, but 1% of 20K is $200, right? So, and all those gains are yours. At the end of the day, when you sell out, the broker takes their money back, that 15K that they put in, right? The cons, though, is all the losses are yours. So if that stock goes down 1% of that 20,000, that 200 loss comes out of your initial 5,000, not theirs. So something to keep in mind. So the losses are also multiplied. Keep that in mind. So, but when you look at that in Webull, for example, where's that 4 times leverage, right? So let's go. I have a full list of 4Xs here. So let's click on GM for example. Scoot you over here. And so right here, if you're following my cursor, you can see right here, day trade leverage 4 times, overnight leverage 2 times. So if I wanted to, let's say you had that 5K, you could hold 10K worth of GM overnight. Now, I usually, and don't advise any of this, by the way, I'm just a kid on YouTube. None of this is financial advice, which should be taken on the onset of all this. But I would not hold this overnight with double my money, right? Anything could happen. The news can come out and GM falls and all those losses are yours. But what did we do at GM is the fun part of this. So GM right here, we bought in 376 shares at that 53.65, that low. And what do you know? That is our $20,000 worth of leverage that we used, right? GM went up, whatever it was, like 1% or something like that. And then there's our profit of $281. So it let us trade, and this is one reason I kind of like the leverage. It lets us trade a stock that's more stable. So GM is more stable. Some of these other stocks on my list here, like Apple, AMD, GM, MU, Microsoft, like these ones don't move a crazy amount, right? Like just look at this list of like Disney and all these, like 1.65%, 0.28%. Not giant moves, right? But if we're trading with the leverage, we can get decent profit from GM, for example. I've done it with Exxon for $100, different things like that. Decent, safe profit rather than just YOLOing into like the pre-market runner of CHCI and then crashing and burning, or getting super lucky, getting SNDL at a good price and then making money, right? There's other ways to be a little safer about it. The other thing I want to point out too with that is the pattern day trade rules still apply. So if your account is less than $25,000 and you use leverage and all that, like you still only get 3 trades in a 5-day period. So keep that in mind if you're doing any of these types of plays. So I guess I'll end the video with talking about the stock that I'm currently holding right now, and that's TRX. Now, I am in the fitness industry, and TRX is a great workout piece of equipment. TRX is not that. This company that we're holding here is like a gold company, though. So let's go to TRX, though. TRX positions. TRX. Okay. So we got TRX at 93 cents, 5,700 shares, which is a little over $5,000 in. And TRX is sitting at 91 cents, right? The reason I like TRX is, let's blow up this chart a little bit, get my head out of the way. The reason I like TRX, if I look at let's just throw up like a 30-minute chart for you guys, is it's had this like run up to like $1.90, and even while I was holding it hit 108, and when I checked that would have been like $800 profit. So if I was paying attention right then, I should have set an alert or something on Webull to let me know, like, hey, if it gets like a 5-10% spike, to let me know. But I wasn't watching because we bought it in like around something like that, if you're following the cursor. But the reason I like it is it's had this run up to $1.91. Now, just because it's done before, it doesn't mean it will do it again. But it's been kind of hanging on this price range here. So I think it's got some time to run up, hopefully. If you scroll back a little bit more, let's see what it's done. Not a whole lot, but decent amount of hype. I'm taking a stab at it. Obviously, in the next video or whenever I sell it, I'll let you know what happens to it. So hopefully we talked a little bit about kind of our loss, set a stop loss. Losing almost $1,800 is not fun, because it was so hard trading ATOS to get 2,500, and then we got lucky with SNDL with 1,500 to make that up, and we just gotta keep going with the safe plays of like GM. We gotta just, when TRX runs up and gets a couple $100, we just gotta start taking profit versus trying to hold and hope, right? So TRX is kind of my main look right now. Hopefully you learned a little something with kind of that 4x leverage. Definitely not something that I am advising.